Welcome back to the series of lectures on understanding carbon footprints. This is the third lecture in the series, and this is a bit more technical lecture. In the first lecture, in the introductory lecture, we talked about climate change, the Paris Agreement, and the context of estimating the carbon footprints, the relevance of estimating the carbon footprints. In the second lecture, we did some calculations to estimate the carbon footprint for a family. We made those calculations and we also took a family of 5 and explained how these calculations go a long way in reducing the carbon footprint. This understanding of carbon footprint calculations would be very useful in our neighborhoods for reducing the carbon footprints of a family. In those calculations, we had assumed certain emission factors. And it is important for us to understand the science behind this. And that is the objective of this lecture. The objective is to estimate the emission factors for transport and for grid electricity. The numbers which we substituted while calculating the carbon footprints during transport carbon footprint calculations and grid electricity carbon footprint calculations, how those numbers come from the basic sciences that we'll be understanding in this lecture. So the objective is to understand the calculations, the emission factor calculations for transport, to understand the emission factor calculations for grid electricity, and also to demonstrate how the carbon footprint reduction can happen by improving the efficiency in transport and grid electricity. So diesel, we would do a sample calculation for diesel, and this would be equally applicable for the other fuels which are used in transport. So as a sample, we had purposely chosen diesel because diesel is widely used in transport. It also has certain applications like in captive power plants. For doing this calculations of carbon footprint, we need to have the data of ultimate analysis. Ultimate analysis simply means the composition of the diesel. From combustion chemistry, one can estimate by making an assumption of stoichiometric calculations, one can estimate the carbon dioxide emissions per kg. And by considering the density of the diesel, we can calculate the CO2 emitted per liter of diesel. So that is what we are planning to do in our calculations. So the methodology is we would be considering the ultimate analysis of diesel as given, more specifically the carbon content of diesel, and we would be writing the combustion equations, and from that we would be calculating the emission factor of diesel. That is a method. So the typical ultimate analysis of carbon of diesel is assumed here. We have assumed the carbon content to be 86.2%. If there are minor variations in the diesel which you have at your place, we can replace that 86.2% with that particular number. Let us say that suppose your diesel is 80%, then all these calculations would change, and instead of 86.2, you should take 80% as that number. Okay. So in my sample fuel, I have taken representative value of carbon content as 86.2%. You all know that if the carbon is completely oxidized during combustion, then it forms CO2. So that is the assumption we will be making when calculating the carbon footprint. So C plus O2 gives CO2, that we all know. C means 1 mole of carbon, is equivalent to 12 kgs of carbon, and 1 mole of oxygen is equivalent to 32 kgs of oxygen. So C plus O2 gives CO2 means 12 kgs of carbon gives you a 44 kgs of carbon dioxide. Now, if you consider 1 kg of diesel, because the carbon content is 86.2%, it means that every kg of diesel should contain 0.862 kgs of carbon in it. Every kg of diesel should contain 0.862 kgs of carbon in it, right? And then how much would be the CO2 formed? So if you burn every kg of diesel, you would be getting 42 by 12 into 0.862 kgs of CO2, right? So if you do this multiplication, 44 into 0.862 and divide that product by 12, what you'll be getting is 3.16 kgs of CO2 formed for combustion of every kg of diesel. Now we will be taking a standard value of density of diesel. Again, that value might change from place to place. So using this value now, I have calculated per liter of diesel consumed would give us 2.63 kgs of carbon footprint. Okay, so considering the density, I just converted the kgs of diesel to liters of diesel, and that gives me the carbon footprint for every liter of diesel as 2.63 kgs of CO2. So that is the emission factor for per liter of diesel. This one can convert it into per kilometer. Okay, so let us say that a person has a diesel car, and let us say that that diesel car has an average, the fuel consumption average as 15 kilometers per liter. It means that for every liter that diesel car would go 15 kilometers. Now it is simple mathematics that if 1 liter of diesel, if it is burned completely, releases 2.63 kgs of CO2, then one can calculate the CO2 emissions per kilometer. And if you do that calculations, making an assumption of an average of 15 kilometers per liter, that number works out to be 0.176 kgs of CO2 for every kilometer traveled by a diesel car. So if you own a diesel car which has an average of 15 kilometers per liter, the emission factor per liter would be 0.176 kgs of CO2. Now this insight, this understanding of the calculation would also help us understand how much can the carbon footprint be reduced if we purchase a more efficient car, more fuel efficient car. Let us say that one purchases a fuel efficient car whose average is 20, whose mileage or average is 20 kilometers per liter. So with the mileage of 20 kilometers per liter, how would the carbon footprint be reduced? So if you do the same calculations, considering 2.63 kgs of CO2 every liter of diesel, so 2.63 divided by 20 would be the 0.132 kgs of CO2 for every kilometers traveled by a diesel car. So look at this. If the average, if the mileage is 15 kilometers per liter, the carbon footprint is 0.176 kg of CO2 per kilometer. If it is the mileage is 20 kilometers per liter, it reduces to 0.132 kgs of CO2 per kilometer traveled by diesel car. Now, suppose a person travels individually in that car. So per capita, it would be 0.132. But if instead one person traveling to office, to his workplace, if the 4 people come together and form a carpool, so they would reduce the carbon footprint by 1/4. So it would now be, instead of 0.132, the carbon footprint has gone down to 0.033 kgs of CO2 per kilometer per capita. Okay, so this is very interesting, right? And this understanding is very crucial if you want to intervene and reduce the carbon footprint by traveling. The next calculation is about emissions from grid electricity. As we know that grid electricity is consumed in a big way at households or also in factories. Where would this grid electricity come from? So depending upon the national scenario, the mix of the plants in the energy sector, these proportions would change. Grid electricity could come from fossil fuel plants like coal, like natural gas. In India, for example, we have fossil fuel plants like coal dominating the picture. The grid electricity can come from large or small hydroelectric power plants. Grid electricity could come from nuclear power. For example, in France, you know that the big contributor to grid electricity is nuclear. The future, which is of renewables, they also do contribute to grid electricity. So biomass-based power plants, wind-based power plants, solar thermal or solar PV, and other renewables also, if connected to grid, would give us grid electricity. As a sample calculation, we would be estimating the emission factor for coal-based electricity. Again, for doing these calculations, we would require the data on the ultimate analysis of fuel. So we would be assuming a coal of a particular quality, which has got a carbon content of 39.17%. Again, I write the combustion equation, C plus O2 gives CO2. Similar to what was discussed earlier, 12 kgs of carbon combines with 32 kgs of oxygen to form 44 kgs of CO2. It means 0.39 kgs of carbon, which is present in 1 kg of fuel, would generate 44 by 12 multiplied by 0.39, which is about 1.43 kgs of CO2. So that gives us the carbon footprint every kg of coal. So 1 kg of coal, which contains the coal of a quality containing 39% carbon, would generate 1.3 kgs of CO2. So this is the emission factor we take for coal. Okay, so if a thermal power plant consumes 1 ton of coal, then that thermal power plant would have contributed 1.3 tons of CO2 as a carbon footprint. Okay, if the carbon content is different for the coal, accordingly the calculations would change. Okay, so from the basic chemistry, we have shown how the CO2 from a coal-based electricity power plant can be calculated. Now this is about consumption emission factor per kg of coal. This can also be expressed as emission factor per unit of electricity. Now this is interesting. Let us say that a coal-based power plant has an efficiency of 30%. Let us say the coal has a calorific value of 16,000 kilojoules per kg. What is the meaning of this? So the thermal efficiency, you know, is thermal output upon, it's the electrical output, that is 1 kilowatt, let us say, upon MF into CV. So if the electrical output for every 1 kilowatt electrical output, which is 1 kilowatt in the numerator, upon the energy input, which is MF into CV, one can do this calculation. That is, efficiency is 1 kilowatt upon, in the denominator, fuel consumption, coal consumption into its calorific value. Using this expression for the first law efficiency expression, one can estimate the coal consumption. And if you do this calculation, that is, if you take efficiency as 30%, if you write the numerator as 1 kilowatts, if you write the denominator as MF into CV and substitute the value of CV as 16,000 kilojoules per kg, you would get the number as coal consumption would be 0.75 kgs per hour. Okay. What is the meaning of this? The meaning is for every kWh of electricity generated from a coal-based electrical plant, the coal consumed would be 0.75 kgs. Now you know the carbon footprint of kg of coal. What was that? We had calculated the carbon footprint of 1 kg of coal to be 1.43 kgs of carbon dioxide, right? So for 1 kWh, the consumption is 0.75. So it means that for 1 kWh, the CO2 emitted per kWh would be 0.75 times 1.43. So with this is 1.07 kgs of CO2 for every kWh of electricity produced. Okay. So please note that the carbon footprint can also be expressed in terms of kWh of electricity. And why is it important for us to express it in per kWh of electricity? It is because generally the grid electricity would have the contributions from different sectors of power plants. Some would be coal-based power plants, some could be renewable. Now let us consider a hypothetical case where the grid electricity comes from coal in a major way. 80% is from coal and 20% is from renewables. If that is the case, then the carbon footprint per kWh of grid electricity would be 0.8 times of 1.07. It means now the grid electricity, when we are consuming 0.8 kgs of CO2 for every kWh of electricity. Why is that come? Because we have assumed that the grid electricity 80% comes from coal, 20% comes from renewables, which do not contribute to global warming, which do not generate carbon footprint. Okay, with this assumption, the carbon footprint per kWh has reduced from 1 kgs of CO2 to 0.8 kgs of CO2. What would happen if the efficiency improves? Okay, by using a new technology, modern boilers, modern power plants, whether the carbon footprint would improve. This can improve, the carbon footprint can be reduced, and this is shown in the next slide. What you see is if your overall plant efficiency improves to 40% with the same grade of fuel, that is with the same calorific value, if you do the same calculations, back of the envelope calculations, you can show that the coal consumption would be reduced to 0.56 kgs per hour. Remember that earlier it was 0.75 kgs per hour. Now it is simply 0.56 kgs of coal for every kWh of electricity. And how has that changed? Just by switching over to a more improved technology. And if that happens, what happens next? If 1 kg of coal would produce 1.43 kg of CO2 as a carbon footprint, 1 kWh of electricity coming from coal would give us 0.56 times of 1.43. So the emission factor now would be 0.8 kgs of CO2 per kWh of electricity. Now this is very interesting. If you go on substituting the coal with renewables, the carbon footprint goes on reducing. So if your 20% grid electricity comes from renewables, the carbon footprint per kWh of electricity becomes 0.64. How has that come? You just multiply 0.8 to 0.2. Okay, 80% is 0.8 into 0.8 is 0.64. If 50% comes from renewables, then the carbon footprint per kWh of electricity comes down to 0.4 kgs of CO2. Okay, so this shows the importance of calculating the carbon footprint of grid electricity. Two things can be concluded. One is by improving the efficiency of the fossil fuel power plants, the carbon footprint can be reduced. The second thing is by switching the to more and more renewables, by shifting the power from coal or from oil, from gas towards renewables, one can reduce the carbon footprint of grid electricity. I hope this is very clear to you. Thank you very much.